still in it. Lee came into range more than 2 weeks ago. Now, here at the Fox Forecast Center, we're watching what will happen with the center of the storm as it basically makes its way north into the Canadian Maritimes eventually late in the weekend. Now, there's a product that's being offered up publicly by the National Hurricane Center, the 7-day tropical outlook, which brought this storm into the discussion very early. Let's bring in NHC Director Michael Brennan. Michael, the 7-day outlook previously used in-house very successfully. Now, this season out to the public. So far, it seems to be serving its purpose. Idalia, Lee, two storms that were captured more than a week out, giving, heads up for land potential. How do you feel like those forecasts have performed?
Yeah, that's the whole reason we decided to go public with that product this year is, again, for these storms where we are more confident that they are going to develop. Again, not every storm, but some of these more substantial storms, especially the ones that come out of the deep tropics, we do have the ability to forecast their development out 7 days in advance. So we're able to give that extra heads up and lead time to people, especially for thinking like Idalia, a storm that formed and impacted land within just a few days. That's really valuable lead time there.
In particular for Lee this morning, the storm became so strong early on. A tropical depression September 5th, the rapid intensification to a Category 5. That early intensity, though, is key to what we're seeing right now with the longevity of the storm and the widespread of impacts. It may not be the heart of a hurricane impact with the strength of those winds right at a landfall or a surge impact, but certainly the characteristics of the storm all along the way are what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, really, the structure is changing. And, we've gone from that very sort of peaked wind distribution and the very well-defined eye wall with really strong winds to a much broader, larger wind field with hurricane-force winds extending out 100 miles from the center, tropical storm-force winds over 300 miles from the center. So those impacts are going to spread out over a very, very broad area across much of coastal New England. The Canadian Maritimes are still even getting, substantial winds this morning, even on Bermuda. And you can see the center is well past that island now.
Yeah, Bermuda's really had their waves turned up. We've been watching some of the imagery come in from that. Let's talk about the peak storm surge. We still have a forecast here for up to 3 feet in several areas. What's your concern over surge flooding? When you're looking at this, it coincides with high tide. It looks like it could be problematic in pockets along the eastern seaboard.
Yeah, that's right. It really is very sensitive to the timing of the tide up here in the northeastern U.S. with the large tidal ranges. We're most concerned about the area of Cape Cod Bay here, where we could get that prolonged funneling of northeasterly wind on the northwest side of Lee that could pile water up in here. That's one of the areas where we could see, closer to that 3 feet of inundation, and that can cause road closures, some coastal flooding, certainly an environment people want to be wary of and not be out into. But, we could see the potential for 1 to 3 feet of inundation all the way from Long Island all the way up through the coastline of Maine. So in addition to large breaking waves, beach erosion, and just in general dangerous, marine and surf conditions over most of the United States East Coast this morning and continuing into tomorrow.
Hurricane hunters are in the storm right now. We're going to get some more data in. Do you anticipate to see the storm become, get out of Category 1 status, go into tropical storm status here this morning?
I think we're going to hang on to it it's going to hang on as a hurricane at least through the day today and maybe even into tonight. That's our current forecast. We have it, for the peak winds falling below hurricane strength as we go into early Saturday. But again, that's not going to make a huge difference. The impacts are coming in terms of the wind. The potential wind impacts are pretty substantial in down East Maine, Cape Cod, and the islands. Leaves are still on trees. We could see some, 50, 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts, could cause power outages, some structural damage. So again, that's what we want folks to be prepared for in this tropical storm warning area from the coast of Massachusetts all the way up to the Canadian border and even into Atlantic Canada.
All right, so the forecast will stand perhaps as a tropical storm landfall.